Okay, so have you seen this 500 Google Payday thing? It's like everywhere online. And honestly, the claims they're making are pretty wild. They're talking about forcing Google to pay you commissions making $500 a day just by like copying and pasting. They even say you can quit your job and travel the world all thanks to their AI system or something.
Yeah, it's definitely designed to grab your attention. This material is hitting all those classic pressure points, financial freedom, the promise of easy money, and of course, the allure of AI, which, let's be honest, is incredibly hot right now.
Right. It's almost like they took every buzzword in the dictionary and just crammed it all into one sales pitch. But what really got me were the countdown timers.
The countdown
Yeah,
timer.
they're on like every single page. It's
Yeah.
seriously, it felt like I was diffusing a bomb.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's a pretty classic tactic, unfortunately. Creating that sense of scarcity and urgency, that's just a way to push people into making impulsive decisions so they don't actually stop to think critically because they're afraid of missing out.
Makes sense.
Mm.
Which is exactly what these
Yeah.
guys want, right? So before I like empty my bank account and book a one-way ticket to Miami to join Glenn and Vanessa's so-called dream team.
Glenn and Vanessa.
Yeah, that's what they call themselves in the material. Anyway, before I do all that, let's unpack this thing, starting with what initially caught my eye, which was this copy and paste AI system.
Ah, interesting.
It's so incredibly vague.
Well, to be honest, AI is a bit of a buzzword these days. Just slapping AI powered onto something makes it instantly seem like more sophisticated, more legitimate, even if what's underneath is totally questionable.
So it's like those infomercial gadgets that promise to like solve all your life's problems, but then they end up being totally useless.
Yeah, very apt comparison. But it's even more misleading when you're dealing with financial claims.
Which brings us to the income claims that they're throwing around left and right.
Yeah.
And come on, $12,493.16 in 24 hours.
Mm.
And there's this guy, Desmond Bong, who claims he's making $1,500 per day, clear profit. Come on, is anyone actually buying this?
Well, you'd be surprised. But you're right to be skeptical. I mean, where's the actual proof? Literally anyone can create a screenshot with a big dollar amount on it. Without independent verification, context and any of that, those claims are totally meaningless. It's like saying, I made $1 million last week without explaining how.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, and I also noticed how they use all this like super emotionally charged language too, like wealth, freedom, easy money. It's clearly all meant to just bypass any sort of logical thinking.
Exactly. They're trying to trigger an emotional response. And of course, there's always that handy disclaimer at the bottom, no guarantee that you will earn any money using this system.
Of course.
So they're basically covered no matter what happens.
Yeah, it feels incredibly deceptive, especially for people who might be like, new to this whole online business world.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That's often exactly their target audience. And this is where that comparison to old ways of making money comes in.
Mhm.
They really want to position this as the new easy path to riches.
Okay, but that actually raises a question for me. Like, what are the legitimate ways to make money online? I mean, surely they exist, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's freelancing, e-commerce, building online courses. There are literally tons of legitimate options out there. But the key here is that they all require actual work,
Okay.
real sustained effort. That's something these get-rich-quick schemes try to just gloss over.
So there are no get-rich-quick buttons online.
I know.
That's a shame.
It would be nice. But building a real sustainable business takes time, effort, and often some upfront investment, too.
Speaking of investment, let's talk about this Google Gemini AI. They're claiming that this system somehow leverages it to generate all this wealth. Is that even a real thing? I haven't actually heard of it.
Google Gemini AI is a real thing, yes.
Right.
But what they're claiming it can actually DO is where things get a little murky.
Okay, so spill the beans. What is Google Gemini AI?
Well, it's a new type of AI model developed by Google. Supposedly, it's even more advanced than things like ChatGPT, which you've probably heard of. They're basically claiming it's a major breakthrough in artificial intelligence.
Okay, that does sound impressive. But can it really do what they're saying? Like, can it actually make you all this money?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And to answer it properly, we really need to understand what Google Gemini AI is actually capable of.
Well, before we dive down that rabbit hole,
Yeah.
there's one more shiny object I want to examine.
Yeah.
All those bonuses they offer.
The bonuses.
Yeah, they offer a done-for-you setup, weekly live Q&A sessions, even a quick start guide. And they're claiming all this is worth over $24,000. Come on.
Ah, yes, the classic value inflation tactic. It's all about making the core offer,
Yeah.
which in this case is the $500 Google Payday System itself. They're trying to make it seem like an even better deal.
So you're saying these bonuses are completely worthless?
Not necessarily. They might have some value, but are they really worth tens of thousands of dollars? Highly unlikely. It's a very common marketing tactic to make an offer seem irresistible.
Okay, so let's say I'm completely gullible and I buy into all of this hype. What about this 180-day money-back guarantee they're always talking about? Isn't that like a safety net?
It seems that way, right? But like always, the devil is in the details. The language that they use in these guarantees is often intentionally vague, and it can be interpreted in multiple ways, making it surprisingly difficult to actually get a refund.
So it's like a trap door. You think you're safe and then bam.
Exactly. You always have to read the fine print. What are the exact conditions for getting a refund? What hoops do you have to jump through? It's rarely as straightforward as it seems.
All right, so we've got vague AI systems, inflated income claims, and a money-back guarantee that might not be so guaranteed after all. What's the big takeaway here?
It's all about recognizing these patterns, these tactics. It's like learning to spot counterfeit money. Once you know the telltale signs, you're much less likely to be fooled.
So what are some of the red flags that we should be looking out for, besides the obvious ones we've already talked about?
One thing to watch out for is the us versus them mentality. They often try to position themselves as like the rebels fighting against the establishment, you know? Offering you this secret path to wealth that the big guys don't want you to know about.
I definitely noticed that in this material. It's like they're saying, hey, we're the only ones who know the real way to make money with Google. Don't listen to all those other losers who are stuck in the old ways.
Exactly. It's a way to create this like in-group, making you feel like you're part of something exclusive, something special. And that feeling can really cloud your judgment.
Yeah, it's like they're building a tribe of believers based entirely on hype and empty promises.
In a way, yes. And often there's this charismatic leader figure involved too, someone who promises to guide you to financial freedom.
Oh, right. Glenn and Vanessa. They're living the dream in Miami, sipping cocktails on their yacht, all thanks to their so-called foolproof system. At least that's the image they're selling.
And they present themselves as just these ordinary folks who stumbled upon this like amazing secret. It's all designed to make you think, if they can do it, so can I.
But the reality is probably a lot different, right? I'm guessing their dream team is just a bunch of freelancers they found online.
It's all about creating an illusion, you know?
Huh.
They're selling a lifestyle of fantasy. But the reality of online business, just like any business, is that it takes hard work, dedication, and yeah, even a bit of luck.
Okay, so how do we avoid falling prey to these schemes?
It all comes back to critical thinking, you know? Don't take anything at face value, do your research, look for independent reviews, and like, be wary of anything that just sounds too good to be true. And this is also where understanding your own motivations comes in. What are your financial goals? What are you actually hoping to achieve? Because scammers are really, really good at exploiting those desires.
Well, it's almost like a mental game of defense.
Yeah.
You have to anticipate their moves and protect your wallet.
Exactly. And there's also no shame in just asking for a second opinion. Talk to a trusted friend, a financial advisor, even just do some Googling to see if other people have raised concerns about the program.
So it's like having a personal fact checker in your corner.
Right.
Which reminds me, we haven't actually confirmed yet whether Google Gemini AI can really do what this material claims.
Right.
We kind of got sidetracked.
We did. And it's always a good idea to approach new technology with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Okay, so next up on our deep dive agenda, separating fact from fiction in the world of Google Gemini AI.
All right, so let's try to unpack this Google Gemini AI thing a little bit. From what we've gathered, it seems like it's what they call a multimodal model.
Multimodal.
Okay.
That sounds kind of fancy.
It basically means that it can process more than just text. Like Gemini can handle images, audio, even code, which is pretty groundbreaking stuff. It's like having an AI that can understand the world through multiple senses, not just, words on a page.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to see why there's so much hype around it. But how does all that translate to, like, actually making money? I still don't really see the connection.
Yeah, that's the key question, isn't it? And this is where that critical thinking comes in. Even with all of its capabilities, Gemini is still just a tool. A very powerful tool, yes, but a tool nonetheless. It's not some magic money-making machine.
Okay, so just having access to this AI doesn't guarantee you'll become a millionaire overnight.
Exactly. And that's where these $500 Google Payday claims really start to fall apart. They're banking on people's fascination with AI to sell a fantasy.
It's like they're saying, hey, look, shiny new AI, it's going to make us all rich.
Yeah.
But they're being intentionally vague about how that actually happened.
Right. And this is where like a good rule of thumb comes in. Whenever you see income claims like that, just stop and ask yourself, where's the proof?
Mm-hmm.
Are they backed up by any third-party data, reputable sources, or is it just like screenshots and testimonials, which, let's be honest, can be easily fabricated?
Okay, so tube is important. What else should we be wary of?
Pay attention to the language they're using. Are they overpromising things, using a lot of jargon or buzzwords without really explaining what they mean? Are they trying to like prey on your fears or insecurities?
Yeah, like that whole us versus them thing they've got going on. It's like they're trying to create this super exclusive club, and if you don't join, you'll be left behind in the dust.
It's a powerful psychological tactic, unfortunately,
All
but
right.
remember, you're the one in control here. You get to decide what information you consume and what offers you choose to believe. Don't let yourself be pressured into making a decision that you might regret later.
It's like they're dangling this carrot in front of you.
Right.
But when you reach for it, you realize it's just a cheap plastic imitation.
A very accurate analogy. And speaking of imitations, there's another tactic that we haven't really touched on yet. Fake scarcity.
Take scarcity. What's that?
It's basically creating this artificial sense of urgency by making it seem like the offer is only available for a super limited time or to a limited number of
Oh,
people.
you mean like those countdown timers they have everywhere?
Exactly. They're designed to make you feel like you need to act NOW or you'll totally miss out. But here's the thing. Often those timers are just a marketing gimmick. There's no real scarcity at all. It's just a way to pressure you into buying.
So it's all just smoke and mirrors.
Essentially, yes. And that's why it's so important to just take a step back, breathe, and think critically. Don't let yourself get swept up in all the hype.
Yeah, easier said than done when you're constantly bombarded with these persuasive tactics.
Yeah.
What are some practical steps that people can take to protect themselves?
Well, one of the simplest things is to just do your own research. Look for independent reviews from trusted sources. See what other people are saying about the program or the product.
Okay, so don't just rely on whatever the sales page is telling you. Makes sense. What else?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. If something seems unclear or too good to be true, just reach out to the company and get some clarification.
So don't be shy about digging a little deeper. What if you're still not really sure?
This is where having a trusted network can be so invaluable. Talk to a friend, a family member, a financial advisor, someone you trust who can offer a more objective perspective. They might be able to see red flags that you've completely missed.
Okay, so it's like having a second pair of eyes to help you spot the fakes. I like that.
And ultimately, you just have to trust your gut. If something feels off, it probably is.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the tactics that these schemes use. But let's shift gears for a moment. What about the people who actually fall for them? Are they just naive or gullible?
Not necessarily. It's important to remember that literally anyone can be vulnerable to scams, especially when they're targeting our hopes, fears, and desires.
So it's not really about being smart or dumb. It's about understanding how these tactics actually work and being prepared.
Exactly. And that's why we're doing this whole deep dive in the first place. It's about empowering people with the knowledge and tools they need to make more informed decisions.
Knowledge is power, as they say. But knowing all this can be a little bit disheartening. It makes you wonder if anything online is actually legitimate.
Oh, there are tons of legitimate online businesses and opportunities out there, don't worry. But you have to be more discerning. Look for transparency, clear explanations, and realistic expectations.
So don't give up on the entire online world just because a few bad apples are trying to take advantage.
Exactly. And remember, building a sustainable business takes time and effort. There are really no shortcuts to success.
All right, so we've debunked the whole $500 Google Payday System. We've explored the capabilities of Google Gemini AI. And we've talked about the importance of critical thinking when you're faced with all these online schemes. Is there anything else we need to address before we wrap up this deep dive?
I think the big question that is still kind of lingering in my mind is this. How can people actually use AI ethically and responsibly, especially when it comes to like making money online?
That's an excellent question, and honestly one that's becoming increasingly relevant as AI just becomes more powerful and more accessible.
Because let's be real for a second. The temptation to use AI for like quick financial gain is going to be huge. Absolutely. And that's why it's so crucial to start having these open and honest discussions about the ethical implications of using AI, in this way. We need to start establishing clear guidelines and boundaries to prevent things like misuse and exploitation.
Okay, so it's not just about protecting ourselves from these scams and schemes, but also ensuring that AI is actually used for good, not just for taking advantage of other people.
Exactly. AI has the potential to be this incredible force for positive change in the world. But it's really up to us to ensure that it's used responsibly and ethically.
Mm. Okay, so Where do we even begin with all that? I mean, it feels like such a massive undertaking.
It is a massive undertaking, but I think it starts with awareness. Educating ourselves and others about the potential benefits and risks of AI, encouraging critical thinking and skepticism, and demanding more transparency from the companies that are actually developing and deploying these technologies.
So it's collective effort then. We all have a role to play in shaping the future of AI.
Precisely, and that's a pretty powerful thought to leave our listeners with.
It is. Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, I think. We debunked that shady 500 Google Payday scheme. We explored the real capabilities of Google Gemini AI. And we even delved into those ethical considerations of using AI for financial gain.
Yeah, and hopefully we've equipped our listeners with the knowledge and tools they need to navigate this increasingly complex world of online opportunities.
Absolutely. So remember, it's all about critical thinking, doing your research, and trusting your gut. If something feels too good to be true, it probably is.
And never be afraid to ask questions and seek out second opinions. Knowledge is power, and the more informed you are, the better equipped you'll be to make those sound decisions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of $500 Google Payday and Google Gemini AI. We hope you found it insightful and empowering. Be sure to check out our other deep dives on topics that piqued your curiosity. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.